You doing? This is Ruben again. Today I want to talk about the difference between you and somebody who has what you want. Somebody who is successful in your eyes. Somebody who has the things or has the feelings of that you have. That you want, excuse me. If you're a musician, you're probably looking at some superstardom musician that is on TV. You're trying to see, you're trying to follow into his footsteps. If you're a low level or regular level cook, you're looking at a chef for inspiration and trying to see they've what they did, what steps they followed that took them to the level they are right now. That's what I want to talk about. What is the difference between you right now and the person who you're looking up to for inspiration, to get advice from, maybe? For those who have, in your eyes, super success, your success may be you're looking you're looking up to and admire a preacher, a pastor, that could be you're in awe with the ability that they can preach and they can lift someone up. Maybe you're in awe with you know super mathematician. Maybe that's your gift. You like math. You're looking at a mathematician. Maybe the person to you that in your eyes is super successful, somebody who has a lot of money, somebody who's a billionaire, a multimillionaire. Maybe that's your inspiration. Whatever your inspiration is, what is the difference between you and that guy who has the ultimate success in your eyes, right? excuse, excuse me. Because once you reach success, there's always more. That's a never-ending tale on its own. So that's another video. But right now, maybe you're somebody who's really into business and you want to make money through business. So maybe you have a business, you're thinking about creating a business. You want to look at somebody who started from nothing. Maybe you're looking at a Mark Cuban. Maybe you're looking, uh, you know, those guys that an entrepreneur of some sort. You know, maybe you're looking up to those guys. Maybe you want to see what they did to achieve super success in their business, or the steps they took to make a super successful business. So we're all different. We're all different individuals. There is no right or wrong. I don't believe in judgment. No matter how what somebody's dream is, there's no right or wrong. That's their dream. Everybody has the right to dream what they want to dream and go after it, and they can achieve it. It's been proven throughout history. 99% of those who started from nothing and now are super successful were told no, that was a stupid idea, that they're crazy. So there's no idea that's crazy. This is really a mind thing, a mind thing. So what is the difference? That's what I want to talk about today. We look at that person who is super successful in whatever they do in our eyes, right? We look at that super successful person and we feel and think that there are a million and one things that they do different, or that that they did and do to this day. Some of us believe that that person was cut off from a different cloth, like they were just lucky. Like, this was a person who, in in Christianity, they say touched by God, that we're touched by God, that we're God gifted. That's what we believe when we look at that, those type of people who we look up to because of their super success. We think that they're different. In simpler terms, we think that they're different. We see them, and we it's almost like if you're looking at an alien, and when you're next to them, or you're close to them, or you see them in person, you you know look at super pop stars, look at super music artists or actors who are super successful. There's fans who, when they get close to them or they get hugged by them, they faint because we think that they're just like so apart from us that and unfortunately, some of us get to the point that if we don't get close to a person like that, or if we are not taught by a super successful person like that, or somebody who's been around that super successful person like that, we just won't get it. And that's not true. As much of an alien that that person may look to you, let me tell you the difference. There's really nothing different. That person and you, except two things. There are two things that are different, and it's the only two things. Everything else is mind-made. It's in your mind. It's okay. Just imagine this. It's like a glass wall or a glass ceiling. All right, there's a glass ceiling. You see it. You want it so bad. You see it, but this glass wall or glass ceiling is stopping you. Glass can be broken. It can break. You are not to be stuck there forever. Okay? There's nothing different. There's just a and to make it even simpler terms, it's just this glass ceiling is mind made. You think it's a glass ceiling, but there is there's actually nothing. That's how simplistic this is, and how eye opening it is. So, but there are two things that are different. Two things. Two things that are different. And these two things are this. The size of their belief in their dreams and time. Only two things. The size of their dream, or the size of the belief in their dream, and time. That's the only two differences between you and that super successful person in your eyes. That's the only two things. Let me tell you why. The size of their dream, or the size of the belief in their dream. Because just like you, they started with nothing. Or they started with a certain amount of belief in their dreams that they can achieve it. I'll give you an example. You have two individuals. You have two individuals. One person is grows up from a poor family, from a family who didn't have the right connections, who uh, didn't make much money, not much of an education, so the rags to riches type of person that person came from. Then you have another person who is born from a family who's wealthy, who's well connected, and who has a great education history. The father and mother graduated Harvard or Oxford or Cambridge or Yale, so on so. They're well connected. They have money or wealth that come from money. The the person who was born from the quote wealthy family, successful family, thinks of a yacht. Let's say he just graduated high school and he thinks about a yacht, or he thinks about making money. Right? He wants to make money. He wants to make $1 million on his own. First off, how the heck de- did he develop the thought of making $1 million like from that? His family has money, but he doesn't have money. He wants to make it on his own. So he thinks about $1 million and he wants a yacht. Within a short period of time, this person will have those $1 million, and with a short period of a little bit more time, he will have that yacht. Now, this other person who came from a family with not that much wealth, not that much connections, not that much education, thinks of money, thinks of making $1 million and a yacht. He's gonna 10 years are gonna pass, and he is not gonna um, right out of high school, uh, no connections and nothing. Most 99.9% of the time, he is not gonna achieve those $1 million, and he is not gonna get that yacht. 99.9% of the time, because of the belief. We we that didn't come from that sort of circle. And again, I don't believe in right or wrong. You could be born on this side and of quote tracks and other side. There's no difference between us. Like you said, there's only two differences between anybody. It's only two different. Everything else is mind made. It's like racism. For the longest, racism was really strong around the world, and it probably still is around many countries. But here in America, for the longest, racism was. Some still goes on, I'm sure, but not as public publicized as it was back in the day. If you weren't Anglo, if you weren't Caucasian, if you were in this country, you were looked down upon, right? And you will be looked at a lower class, and 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 even then, beyond race. For those of you who remember the movie Titanic, yeah, remember the movie Titanic. Um, Remember they had the upper class cabinet, then they had the lower class cabinet, and the lower class and upper class never mingled, never exchanged words, never interacted. And the lower class wasn't really welcome on the upper class cabinet, nor was the upper class welcome in the lower class cabinet. I'm sure, there was no interaction. There was always a class since history began. There's always been a class that it's looked upon higher than the other class. Is it poor or rich, wealthy or not, powerful or not? Back to the Egyptians, and so on. This is throughout history. Throughout history, this is true. I mean, I'm not a racist, but to this day, it still goes on. I mean, it still goes on. So, what got this other person to make the $1 million and believe in the $1 million in the yacht? The lower class person, quote, lower class person, looks at the this other person who just dreamed and just manifested $1 million in a yacht. Looked at him like, how the heck, man? he gets frustrated. He's like, man, the rich only gets richer, and starts making up all these beliefs and things that he is unlucky. He is undeserving. And he starts getting this into his head to the point that he gives up on his dreams. I think everybody starts with the passion of reaching, no matter how low your family class has been. I think everybody starts with a passion to reach goals and desires, and they think the world is theirs and nothing is impossible. But it gets died down through time because they start making ideas in their head, and there are influence as well. Influence plays a big part. But they start getting these ideas in their head, and that stops them from that passion, stops kills that passion, in other words. So this person looks at this other person who just manifested this $1 million and the yacht, and he says, oh man, the rich only gets richer. He had connections. Just starts playing all these ideas in his mind. What he doesn't, what he doesn't realize is that he was just fooled as well. He was just illusioned as well. You know, think about it. He was illusioned because in his eyes he caught on to the belief that the more money, the more successful you are, the happier you are, and so on and so on. And that the more power you have, the more successful and and happier you are, and so on. So he caught on to that belief. He believed it, and that's what he called success. Instead of focusing on what's right in front of him. If I'm a teacher, I cannot teach you multiplication. Matter of fact, if I'm a teacher, I cannot teach you algebra or calculus in your first year of school. You look at me crazy, and you won't learn a thing, and you won't pass the grade because you don't even know what the numbers are. Do you see what I'm saying? And do you guys see where I'm getting at? You don't even know the numbers yet, so how in the world can I teach you trigonometry, and how will you ever understand it? You can't. We're illusion to look at this big picture. We're illusion to run when we don't even know how to crawl. We're illusion to look at this big picture and look at this big picture and see it